Alafia, everyone! I'm so excited for you to dive into the Self-Worship Masterclass. Now, before you get started, I want to tell you a few things. Number one, you're going to hear my cat beg me to play fetch with her. This is a new progression. You're going to hear her a few times. Just ignore it. It's only going to be about 20 seconds. I think only twice within the 3-hour-long masterclass that you're about to dive into. That's number one. Now, number two, this Self-Worship Masterclass is really the first class of Ogun energy. Now, why is this important to you? Well, number one, all of the work that we're doing, from the visualization to the breath work to the shadow work to the integration work and the parts work, all of it that we're doing in this space, it is meant to show you the guidelines and collaborators for ultimately creating a project that will encompass your life's work. So this is not just a type of spiritual work where we sit and we try to mentally digest it. The purpose of this class is to be able to move forward and actually express what your soul has been calling you to express. And by the end of this class, you'll know exactly what it is that you need to move forward with in regards to your own personal revolution and your own personal renaissance. Ogun Energy begins on the 25th, and this is a 3-month creative immersion into your cutting edge brand visibility, content creation, creating a business that's not just profitable, but also something that is absolutely revolutionary. We have so many people who have signed up who are about to write books, who are creating podcasts, who are creating courses, who are creating beautiful programs, farm to table projects, all these beautiful things that you guys have already told me about. They're going to really be moving forward with an Ogun energy and really creating something that is not just something that they really feel proud of, but that is something that has a world impact. And that's what we're going to be doing in Ogun energy, is increasing our ability to hold that visibility and also increasing our ability to pull within ourselves and pull through that revolutionary level of creativity that we have all been craving for. We as a whole in humanity right now, we are dying for a change, but we have to remember that we are the ones who are going to create that change. And the purpose of Ogun energy is to create a container that can really help you birth the change that is meant to come through all of us. I say all that to say, don't just ingest this information, do something with it. This is the purpose of this masterclass. Now is your time. And of course, you already know we begin Ogun energy on the 25th. So I'll see you there. Enjoy the masterclass, and I'll see you later. All right, my loves. So, first of all, as I've said before, when we first got started, I'm just so happy to be here with you. There's so many things that have led me personally into this space, and I want to thank every single dark moment, every single moment that has pushed me and pulled me into sharing even more and even more and even more of my story. And the purpose of this space is not just an offering for you, but everything that I do, and we're going to be talking about this concept as well, but everything that I do is an offering to my Ori, is an offering to my higher self. And when you begin to see that not only is there this beautiful universal force, God, Olodumare, that has created the world around us and our path, but when you also begin to see that there is an inner deity, there is an energy within us that sees all the challenges that we've moved through, everything that we've ever gone through, as parts of the offering to the overall beauty, the overall gift that life is. All these little pieces, all these little challenges as offerings. And when we begin to integrate that wisdom, integrate all of that information, then we can see that every single situation is a present. Every single challenge is a present. Every single thing that we may be so afraid of talking about or allowing to be seen by others, all these things are beautiful presents, not just to ourselves, but also to our own inner deity, our Ori, our higher self. And so I just want to thank you for being here. I also want to thank I want to thank my Ori for guiding me to this space. And if you guys hear some meowing in the background, my cat is doing this funny thing where she just constantly wants to play fetch. So we're just going to continue. She tries to get my attention. She's like, I want to play fetch right now, but we're going to continue regardless. But I just wanted to start off with that space of just saying thank you for everyone who's here right now and everyone who's going to be listening to the replay. So we're going to just start off with closing the eyes. And taking a moment to just tune into the body. And regardless of anything that we talk about today, regardless of anything that comes up, I just want you to just take a moment and allow yourself to be present here. Take a moment and just breathe in and allow that breath to come all the way in and deep into the stomach. And release. I'm doing 2 more, taking another deep breath in. Pulling that breath all the way to the base of the stomach. And releasing. And then one more time, and as you take this 3rd breath, I just want you to begin to rub your hands together. And then rubbing your hands together, just taking another deep breath in and just feeling that warmth come in. Another deep breath in. And release. Pausing and placing one hand over the heart and one hand over the belly. And just take a moment to say thank you to your body. Regardless of whatever worries or whatever things that may be trying to pull themselves to the center of your mind, just take a moment and just allow yourself to notice how the air feels on your skin, how your body feels. Take a moment to notice what's one thing that maybe you can hear besides the sound of my voice. For me, it's the rain. Maybe you hear something else wherever you are. And then just notice what's something that you can feel. Maybe it's the tightness or the looseness of your clothes. For me, it's my cat now trying to get into my lap. And then notice what's something that you can smell. For me, it's cinnamon incense. Maybe for you, it's maybe fresh laundry. Or another smell or scent. Just take a moment and notice how your body feels. How the air feels. And just keeping those eyes closed for just a few more moments. I just want to say another statement of gratitude to everyone here. A statement of gratitude to my Ori, to all of your Oris, all of your higher selves present as well. Thank you to Spirit for bringing us all together. And thank you for this present moment, the sweetest gift that could ever be given.
There's so much juiciness in this moment. I'm going to give you a second here to just tune into what is perfect in this moment. Maybe it's something small or big. Giving you a few moments here. Beautiful. And you can gently open your eyes. Just take a moment and just feel into your body. Maybe that looks like continuing to rub the hands together, or just beginning to rub on the knees or the legs. You can close your eyes or keep them open, whatever feels good for you. And the reason why we're just starting off a little slow right now is because when we talk about eroticism, we talk about this energy of being present, of being fully alive. How often are we able to really just appreciate the life in our bodies? How often are we able really to appreciate the present moment in the home that is our body? Just taking a moment and going slow. Beautiful. Now we're just going to take the shoulders and scrunch them all the way up. And release. 2 more times, scrunch them all the way up. Deep breath in. And release. 1 more time, scrunch them all the way up. Deep breath in, appreciating the breath, the body. You are alive right now. Scrunch it as much as you can. And release. So we're going to start with one of my favorite practices. And this is going to ease us into this beautiful thing that I have planned for you guys today. And it's called Kalabati breath. It's called Breath of Fire by many people, and it's one of my favorite ways to start the day. And what this really is going to allow us to do is clear the minds of any distracting thoughts and really focus on the breath and reinvigorate the body and really pull all the senses here and now into the center of this present moment. Now, for you guys who don't know what Kalabati breath is, you can do it with me in the form of breathing in and breathing out. Okay, now if you can't move your arms like this, that is completely okay. You're gonna focus on the belly, right? So we're gonna focus on, if you can't or not able to do this, that's okay. We're gonna focus on breathing in into the belly directly, and you can place a hand here if you feel called, and sharp breath out. In and out. We're about to start in 2 seconds, but what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 sets of 10. And this is really going to allow us to clear and recenter and really tune into the body. Let me tuck in my aleke so that none of my orishas get mad in case something gets popped, child. And we're going to begin. So we're going to take just a moment to reset, close the eyes. And we're going to do 3 sets of 10, putting the arms up. And begin. Taking a moment and feeling into the body. Placing the hands on the heart for just a moment here. Feeling the heart. Feeling any tingling sensations. Now we're going to go into our second round of 10 breaths, beginning and now. Pausing for a moment. Again, tuning into any tingling sensations, tuning into the heartbeat. If there's any areas of the body that are holding on to any density, just allowing them to soften. Just feeling how alive, how present you are in this moment. Beautiful. And we're going to go into our last round. One more round of 10 breaths. Pulling the arms up and allowing your hands to fall now to your knees. And with your next breath in, pulling that breath all the way to the base of the stomach again. Allowing yourself to just be the observer of the mind. And now, while keeping your eyes closed, you're going to take 2 fingers on whatever hand and put them on your third eye. And just taking a moment, noticing any tingles, any sensations. Just noticing how your fingers, how your hands feel in the center of your forehead. Now, either out loud or to yourself, I want you to ask the question, what is my deepest desire? What is my deepest desire? And then begin to slowly trace your finger from your third eye, down your face, down your chest, to your heart. What is my deepest desire? And now don't question anything that may come up. Allow your heart to speak to you. Maybe there's a vision, maybe there's feelings. Whatever comes up, I'm going to give you a moment here to just tune in. Allow your heart to speak to you. What is my deepest desire? Noticing how your body feels when the visions come through. Not judging anything. Just observing. Beautiful. Whenever that feels complete, no rush whatsoever, you can just write down whatever you saw on your piece of paper, on one of your pieces of paper. Just notice whatever you saw. And again, no judgment. Now, if you feel called to share it with us in the chat, you can definitely share it with us. If you don't, that's completely fine as well. If you need more time, take your time. Was anyone surprised by what they saw? I know I was a little surprised. I've done that exercise so many times, child. Your heart may show you something different. Beautiful. Beautiful iPhone. We don't know your name yet, but we'll call you iPhone for now. Liberation, love, happy family, community, connection. Beautiful. To love and be loved. Oh, Charmaine, so happy to see you here, learning how to integrate my temper, something that I see as a bad thing. A family. I saw myself performing, a musician. World fucking peace. Yes. To be loved, truly love and peace, warmth, being held, kisses. Beautiful. Beautiful. Power. Beautiful reflections, guys. And just give me a little emoji hand if you were surprised by what you saw. Give me a little emoji hand if you were surprised by what you saw. Oh, I meant in the chat, but yeah, that's fine. Beautiful, guys. Hand, yes, Marty, thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. Is there any shame that comes up when you just admit your desires to yourself honestly? Not surprise confirmation, beautiful. No shame, I did feel it when I started doing the breaths. Yeah, beautiful reflections, guys. So this, in general, that exercise of pulling from the ajna to the anahata, is something that you can do super quickly anywhere that you are, no matter what's happening. If you feel really confused about maybe what direction to go, you want to have help with making a decision, pulling it from the ajna, from the space of non-duality, from the space of coming into this beautiful energy of oneness, and then pulling it into the center of our truth, into the heart, will always help us really align with what our spirit is really calling us to do. So we don't even want to super psychoanalyze whatever came up, but I'm going to give you just maybe one more minute if there's anything else that you'd like to write down as far as that desire. Maybe some more things that were coming up for you as you started to express yourself in the chat. Uncomfortable about judgment. Just notice what you notice. Beautiful work, guys. And just as you continue to write, or maybe some of you are at the space where you feel good with what you wrote, you feel complete, I want to tell you the purpose of this concept of self-worship. You guys, obviously, you guys all are familiar with a lot of these things that we say in spirituality, that God is all, that God is one, that we are living aspects of God. But I want to take this a little bit deeper. I want to talk about desire. I want to talk about self-worship, how it relates to desire and how this relates to this energy of creativity. if we know that God is all, if we know that God is literally in absolutely everything, and that if we know that God has created our consciousness to be able to experience itself via different eyes and different lenses, then we know that possibly one of the only things that this energy of oneness could ever crave is to experience what we call separation. If we know that God is all, and God knows that God is all, right? The only thing that it can't be is separation. The only thing that it can't be is something outside of the all. And so we are all created so that we can see basically God interacting with God, so we can be the other and then also interact with the other, and both of us being God, okay? Now, how does that relate to desire, and how does that relate to this energy of shame as well, and all these things that we're going to talk about today? When we feel desire, when we feel this yearning to create something, or we feel this yearning to pull something into our lives, it many times starts as that feeling of separation. It many times starts as that feeling of there's something way over there and I want to pull myself towards it, or I want to pull it towards me. And so many traditional religions, or so many Abrahamic religions rather, teach us that desire is this terrible thing. But in reality, desire helps God meet itself. Because in the path of moving towards your desire, in the path of coming closer to the things that you really want to create and creating them, you join two different aspects of God. You bring them closer and closer together. And so I would even argue that one of the purposes of human life is to experience desire. Because it's these two aspects of God pulling towards each other. And that feeling that we feel of desire is that feeling and that yearning for unification with the things that we already are. If we know that we're all connected, if we know that everything that we desire is all within, all these things that we know, right? Then we can also see desire as not a bad thing, but rather a path to experience our own holiness, a path to experience our own sacred energy. And I don't mean that thing over there is going to help you experience that sacred energy, no, but the path of unification, the path of melting the two together. If you desire a family, what you really are desiring is that love and community, and that path of creating that community, that path of joining in with other people and knowing yourself well enough to know exactly who is going to be in alignment with you, and really cultivate these aspects of community within yourself first and foremost. You're creating your desire over and over and over again. Right? So this entire path to, number one, recognizing our desires, and number two, carving out and creating that path that brings the desire towards us, is literally to say it's holy it's an understatement. To say that these things are sacred, they are understatements, right? And so we have to first understand that it's not the thing that's on the other side of your desire. It's not the object of your desire. It's the energy of desire itself. And when we learn to eroticize the entire journey, when we learn to fall in love and romanticize every step of creating our desire, that's how we can really come into this space of devotion and self-worship. Okay? And so desire is the foundation of devotion. And we have to understand that this energy of desire, this energy of wanting, it's never going to go away. We might say, oh, I lost the pull to that dream or whatever. But in reality, your energy of desire just shifted to something else, right? This energy of desire is always within us, but we're constantly shifting the object of our desire. But one of the most sacred gifts that God has given us is the energy of desire. So we're never going to run out of it. But the question here is, when it comes to self-worship, is, are you able to really see your desire as a portal of devotion to yourself? Okay. Now, what does that really mean, right? What does that mean? I want to come back into this concept of the Ori, this concept that we have in Ifa. And you guys, I'm sure you guys already know that I practice Ifa, but if you don't, I practice in a Yoruba technology, spiritual technology and lifestyle of Ifa. And in my specific tradition, Isefa, there is a huge emphasis on Ori worship. Okay, and so this concept that we all have an inner deity, we all have a higher self, but it's really an inner deity that is guiding us and showing us our path and showing us what's in alignment with us every step of the way. And when we're able to see us cultivating our own desire as an offering of devotion to our own inner deity, then we're able to see also how all of the paths and all of the weaves and turns on that path of offering this desire, of becoming this desire, is also the offering itself. So the space of who you become as you move towards embodying community, the space of who you become as you move towards embodying world peace, the space in who you become when you move towards embodying abundance. Every iteration and layer that you uncover within yourself is literally an offering to the deity that is living within all of us. Okay? And so it starts with this energy of curiosity, right? Why is this like this? Why are these things happening in this world? Or why are my patterns like this? Or why is my family like this? And then it moves into this space of desire. So the first step is creativity. Then we move into that space of acknowledging our desire, where I want things to be different. And then what we end up doing is we start fixating on the object of our desire. And this is where a lot of us stop. We think the object is the end goal, but in reality, it's not. When we're able to shift to the space of self-worship, then we're able to see that we can fixate on the object of desire, but the actual end goal that is internally moving and shifting and growing, the end goal is the devotion to the theme of the object of desire. So the overall theme of what this desire represents within you, this overall theme of how you feel when you think about this desire. And so the first step when we talk about self-worship, it's acknowledging what we want. It's being unapologetic about what we want. It's not holding so much shame and self-judgment about what we want, just being able to say it first and foremost. And then realize that the other things that may come up, the shame and all these other things that may come up, they are meant to be portals to strengthen our devotion to ourselves and to our paths. They're meant to be portals to strengthen our relationship with our Ori, with our inner deity, in the different waves and turns that we move to or move through as we move towards the fixation of our desire, the object of our desire. They're just meant to show us deeper and deeper levels and layers of ourselves. So the first thing that we have to do is, number one, admit what we want. I say all that to say, the first thing we have to do is admit what we want, right? And then the first things that come up, that shame, is perfect. And this is where we go wrong in love and light spirituality, right? Because we say, okay, let's find a way. Let's get rid of the shame right now. How do we get rid of it? How do we throw it away? Right? But in a more expansive view of self-worship, what we can start to do is just get curious. So, right, this is the first step of getting curious. What exactly am I holding shame about? So now let's bring back in that last question of what do you want? Did you feel any shame around that? And I just want you to write down any shame. So you can put it in the chat, or you can put it, on your paper. And I'm going to look at questions in just a second. But is there any shame around your desire? Is there anything that's telling you that you cannot have it? Is there anything that's telling you that it can't be here, it can't be now, it can't be me? There's no way. Is there anything that's telling you this? I'm just going to give you a second to do that. So many fears. Yeah, what are they? Failed past relationships. So put it out there. What exactly about those failed past relationships? You can write it down. You can put it in the chat. What fears come up for you? Not deserving it. And why? So this is the thing. So we have to remember, this is how we really have this beautiful, we cultivate this beautiful state of self-awareness, is we don't end on this. We say, why does my mind tell me that? Why is it that it can't be me? Why am I not enough? And we got to get to the root. Let's get to the bottom. Everything will fall apart, right? Not being able to hold it, losing it all, disappointing my family, fear of being seen. Get to the root. Just continue to ask the question of why until you can't ask it anymore. Why is it scary for me to be seen, right? Why can't I be seen? Why would everyone around me be upset? Fear of being perceived as crazy. Understand. So we never want to end on I'm not good enough. We have to ask the mind enough to say what within us is saying, what is the reason why I'm not good enough? Right? Because we're not able to really work with this energy of not good enough. We want to get to the reason why, because this is exactly what we're going to be collaborating with, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So now we're just going to recognize the shame. We're going to recognize all the things that have come up, and then we're going to take our blank sheet of paper. I'm going to write this out for you, and I'm just going to give you a really big warning. My handwriting is terrible, but please just work with me here, okay? So we're going to take our blank sheet of paper, and we're going to draw a line down the middle, and we're going to put our light desires. So these are the desires that we feel comfortable with admitting to other people that we want. Right? So maybe the ones that you feel comfortable admitting in the chat that you want, these are the light desires. And then on the other side, we're going to put the dark desires and leave a little space on each end because we're going to continue to build on this. But we have the light desires and then we have the dark desires. So the things that you feel comfortable with admitting that you want, the things that you feel comfortable with sharing with other people that you want, and the dark desires are the things that you feel, that you maybe feel, embarrassed about telling people that you want. I want you to see me. I want you to celebrate me. Maybe you want a lot of people around you who are gonna say you're doing amazing, right? No matter what you do. What are the things that you're kind of scared of admitting that you want? Maybe you want power and you're scared of admitting it. Whatever the case is, I'm gonna give you a second here. Light desires and dark desires. That's okay, Jason. You just move forward with these two. And I'm going to give you a second with that. There we go. So the things that we feel comfortable with admitting, revenge, completely understand that one. And so we can even use the shame as an avenue into admitting something that we really want. If Kayla feels like she's the glue or they're the glue that holds everything together, maybe what they want is they don't want so much responsibility. Maybe the dark desire is maybe, look, I don't want to have to be responsible with nobody for nobody but my damn self. Okay, maybe that's the dark desire. So we're gonna look at the justice 100%. we're going to look at all the things that maybe we feel ashamed of, and also look at that from the perspective of the dark desire. Terica, I think there's so much that we could say about this. I want you to understand, I'm just going to do a little side note here, because as someone who has specialized in anger for so damn long, I understand. People who really feel very angry and people who have dealt with anger issues in the past are meant to have a huge impact. And so that same anger that you may feel for everything that's happening in the world is meant to be a fuel to help you use your voice for the people who may not have a voice right now. The same anger that you may feel or have felt in the past is meant to be a fuel for you to create new solutions for the people who are not, who are experiencing the injustice that's happening right now. So I want everyone, especially, we're going to talk about all the shadow emotions in a little bit, but I want to address this specifically because you guys have talked a little bit about the world peace and justice aspect, which is such a prevalent issue right now. And I think we all need to really address that within ourselves and in our communities. But especially people who are very angry about what's happening right now, I want you to understand, or even if you want justice and you have had anger issues in the past, you're meant to be somebody to really be on the front lines of creating new avenues for people to be heard, people's voices to be heard who feel like they don't have a voice. This is essential. This is essential. The anger, the passion that you feel is essential for your purpose. I just want to say that really quick. I want envy. You don't want envy to end, iPhone. Trust me. So again, we have light and desires, or light and dark desires. Okay. Now we're going to make a little bit more of a, well, we don't have to put a line here, but we're just going to make another column on the light side, and we're just going to say the outer world. So you have your light desires, what you feel comfortable with saying that you want, and the outer world here is how you feel comfortable with other people seeing you, how you want to be seen by other people. And then, of course, with the dark desires, we're going to have inner world. These are the things that you're really afraid of people seeing you as, or really afraid of people finding out about you. So we have the inner world and we have the outer world. In the outer world, we have the light desires and the dark desires with the inner worlds. This is who you are alone, what you're afraid of people seeing. I'm going to give you guys a second with that. Okay. Outer world is, yes, how I want to be seen. Inner world is what we don't want people to see. That's okay, Brianna. Yeah, sorry, Misha, I didn't see you there. Outer world is going to be how you want other people to see you. Inner world is going to be what you're afraid of people to see, or what you're afraid of people seeing within you. Who you are alone, what you're afraid of people seeing or finding out about you. That's okay. What do you mean? Explain what you mean by everything feels so masked. Does it feel masked like to write it down, or is it hard to find within yourself? So again, the light desires are things that we feel comfortable with admitting that we want. Outer world is how we want people to see us. Dark desires are the things that we feel we don't want other people to know that we want. Inner world is also the truest version of us when we're alone, that we don't want people to find out about us. It feels like I can scream everything I don't want. I want people to see me strong, not weak. There's a lot more inner world critiques. Okay, so we're just going to observe everything that's coming up here. Now we're going to notice any direct opposites. So within these 4 different columns, there's probably a lot of splits. If you find that there's a lot of areas where you're all the way on one end, but in reality you feel this way, I just want you to circle any places that really feel very tense for you. I want you to circle any places within all these different, or the 4 different columns, that feel really tense for you. And also just notice any desires that you particularly just feel really ashamed of. Tense inner world. That's okay, Brianna. And notice at any points of tense energy, you can even, if you have like one point on the dark desire side, you can circle it, those points of tense energy, and you're just gonna, I like to do little arrows here, and just put any fears, any things that are coming up with this. Why are you afraid of people seeing this in your inner world? Why are you afraid to admit to these desires? I'm just going to give you a second here. Judgment. Right? Any fears, anything that's coming up for you at these points of tenseness. I'm going to give you guys about 1 more minute with that. There we go. Understandable, Kimberly. Very interesting, Mystique. Beautiful reflections, guys. We're just naming the fears here. And what we're really doing is also naming our worst case scenarios. I'm going to give you guys about 30 more seconds to complete this. And so what we want to begin to do is, number one, we're doing a beautiful job of actually naming these things, of being honest about what we want, what we're afraid of admitting that we want. Naming the fear, naming the shame. But when we talk about self-worship, we talk about this energy of being okay with being seen. The first step, of course, is seeing yourself, of naming all these things, of acknowledging these things. And when you're able to admit this and acknowledge this to yourself, it becomes a lot easier for you to be able to move forward. And in my practice of shadow integration, we never want to try to eradicate these fears. Because when you see everything from a lens of devotion, when you see everything from a lens of conscious collaborators for different levels and greater levels of creativity, that we can understand that these pieces of fear, that these pieces of shame, that all these things that we're trying to really stop ourselves from feeling or thinking, they're actually meant to be part of our story. They're actually meant for us to move towards, for us to lean into, for us to even more just like embrace, to a sense. When we're able to see ourselves as our own personal deity, then we can embrace these different aspects of us that we're really afraid of actually happening. We start to have a different relationship with these things. And so before we begin to integrate this information, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Orisha and what the Orisha really mean in the lens of Ifa, but also what the Orisha really mean in regards to understanding ourselves. So many times Ifa is very sensationalized, right? Beyonce has popularized Ifa so much. And we see all these other celebrities, SZA and Summer Walker and all that kind of stuff, really showing you guys that they practice Ifa and X, Y, and Z. And we see it so sensationalized, and people really think that Orisha devotion is Orisha practitioners thinking that Oshun is God, or Yemoja is God, or Obatala is God, and this is not the case. When we look at these different aspects of nature, when we look at these different aspects of Olodumare, what we're seeing them as is just that. An aspect. We don't see them as the creator. We don't see them as God, the totality. We see them as different personifications of specific energetic types. And so because they are more humanized, and because we can see them as personifications and not the absolute, what also happens in Orisha practice is that we have millions of stories of each of the Orisha. And there's so many different ways that we are taught how to see Oshun, how to see Ogun, how to see Obatala, how to see Shango through the lens of humanity, through the lens of their mistakes, and through the lens of the things that are light and dark about them. And what this really helps us do is it helps us understand that even if we have these very human emotions of anger or of shame or the past that has happened to us, we can see it and see those things as part of our divinity instead of things to try to heal within ourselves. And so when we're able to see that God has many different faces, God shows up in many different ways, and that there's so many ways that these divine energies have moved and really grown into themselves, then we're able to see them as mirrors for our own divinity. The very things that you may find in this chat of people saying that they're really, upset about, or like they don't want to admit to themselves, or whatever the case is, are some of the parts and pieces of even the Orisha's origin story that they themselves are known for. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is how to really integrate everything and see this as part of your origin story, and see this as part of things to really embrace within yourself. And so when we think about, there's two big categories that you guys are really putting things in. There's fear of something reoccurring from the past. And also the other category is fantasizing about a past, or fantasizing about a future that has not yet happened, right? But when we talk about things like being rejected by family, when we talk about, things that have happened in the past and things that we've also just went through that were really painful, when we talk about the things that are real in our reality, not the anxieties that we may fantasize about, but instead the things that are actually have happened to us, we can begin to see them as these parts and pieces of our own divinity by seeing them as, number one, part of why we are going to move to our desire, part of why we are worthy of our desires, and part of what makes us divine. And so on your other sheet of paper, I want you to just put down origin story, okay? And for everyone who put a fear of something reoccurring or something that has happened in the past that they're really afraid of happening again, I want you to just put that down, rewrite that as part under this aspect of origin story. So being rejected, trauma that's happened to you that you're really afraid of happening again. I just want you to put the thing origin story, the words origin story, and just start to put down those fears that you're afraid of reoccurring. I'm going to give you a second to do this. For example, fear people won't value me anymore. This is one of the best stories of Oshun, how she wasn't valued when the earth was created. This was literally part of her origin story as well. So what we're going to do is we're looking at all these things. If you feel like people haven't valued you in the past, if you feel like you've been rejected in the past, just put that as part of your origin story. Being abandoned. Self-sabotage. Taken advantage of. Fear of being vulnerable, letting people in who only betrayed and abandoned me. Talking about the fear, we're talking about the shame, we're talking about the things that you're really afraid of happening again. Always feeling offbeat, over-sexual. Fear of living my parents' life. Putting all of this under the category of origin story in your other sheet of paper. Beautiful work, guys. I'm going to give you guys about 1 more minute to do this. Stagnant energy. Give me a yellow heart if you want me to tell you one of the most famous stories of Oshun and abandonment. And how that's part of her origin story. Okay, really quickly. Rose Marika, you already know this story. When Olodumare sent all of the Orisha down to create the earth, Obasa was creating the mountains. You know, we have all the other Orisha creating all these. The Ogun was in the forest, carving out the way, right? We have all these other Orisha creating all these beautiful things, all the male Orisha. And Olodumare sent down Oshun. And the male Orisha were like, we don't need this beautiful young woman to help us. Why? What is she going to do? And they're just like, shut up, Oshun. Like, go back to where you were. Go back looking in your mirror. Go back looking at the pretty things. Do what you, but we don't need you. And so she said, okay. And she went back up to Olorun. She went back up to heaven to sit next to Olodumare, the creator. And then the world was being created, and without river water, which Oshun represents, even though things were being created and things were going well, things started slowly drying up in the world. things slowly started dying in the world. All the plants started dying, all these things started dying. And the male Orisha went up to Olodumare and said, what's going on? Why the earth, we did everything we're supposed to do. What happened? And then Olodumare looked down and said, well, where is Oshun? What did y'all do with Oshun? Y'all sent her away? Well, how was she going to help us? What was she going to do? And so Olodumare said, you need to respect and understand that without sweet water, without this water of the river, without beauty in the world would shrivel up and die. And so they invited back Oshun to continue to create the energy of the earth. And so part of one of the places of power with Oshun is the fact that in the past she's been denied. In the past, people have ignored her. In the past, people have said that she wasn't even important. In the past, they just try to shove her off and just try to make her feel like nothing. And because she took away her energy and said, I'm not even going to fool with you. I'm not even going to look at you. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go back up to Olorun with Olodumare. They really appreciated her and saw the importance of her energy even more. And so this is one of the most beautiful examples, I feel, of the Orisha really showing us how we can pull from our own trauma, of our own past experiences, and really see this as part of the reason why we are going to create beautiful things, the reason why we are meant to really come into this earth and change things. Okay, so I had to say that little tidbit. So we're just gonna notice all the things that are in the origin story. So you guys probably already know, for me, it's my past anger issues, it's my arrest, it's the trauma that I've experienced. And feel free to put in the comments right now, what are some parts of your origin story that you are able to identify? In the comments right now, what are some of the parts of your origin story that you are able to identify? And this is the thing. When we're able to identify the fear, when we're able to identify the shame, when we're able to acknowledge, especially in a group setting like this, infidelity, angry at parents, neglect, being called stupid when I presented ADHD, yes, feeling overlooked, being muted early on, exactly. When we're able to see these things as part of the reason why we will even more blossom into exactly who we're meant to be, and not things that are going to stun us or hold us back, what ends up happening is that we no longer use them as the reasons why we can't, but instead the reasons why we can. We no longer use them as the reasons why we shouldn't speak, but we use them as the reasons why we are now going to speak up even more. When we're able to admit to these things and really see ourselves and stop denying within ourselves that we're holding this trauma within, or that we have experienced this trauma, what ends up happening is we're able to talk about it more freely. And one of the only ways to release shame is by talking about it. And so you're talking about it here in the chat, but I'm going to, and for all, what did I do? There we go. And we're back. But what I also want to challenge you to do is after this call, I want you to go anywhere. I'm talking about go on Reddit. I'm talking about create a fake Instagram. Put your story out there. What has happened? Who can you share this with? Even if it's somewhere you feel like nobody's gonna, whatever the case, share your story. What has happened? Right? One of the only ways to release shame is to talk about it. And the more and more that you talk about it, the less and less of a burden that you feel on your body from carrying this story. It starts to build you up instead of weigh you down. Beautiful, guys. And I invite, it doesn't matter what background you're in, we can all listen and learn about the Orisha, Okay, so if you want to learn more, there's a YouTube channel called Apetebi, that is Aseire, by an Obatala priestess. She gets on live on YouTube every Sunday and she talks about Orisha stories. You can feel free to look more into that. It doesn't matter what background you have. We can all learn about these stories, okay? But when we're able to really see all these different aspects of our lives is the reasons why we'll move forward. It becomes a lot easier for us to be seen because we're no longer just presenting with our outer worlds. We're no longer presenting just with what we want other people to see, but we're able to see ourselves as the way that our Ori sees us. Just all the things that have happened to us, all the good, quote unquote, and the bad. We're able to combine them all together to see the totality of who we actually are. And this is the energy of the Anahata. I say this all the time, but people dilute the heart chakra like I've never seen it before, okay? The heart chakra is the space of and. It's the space of I am holding light and dark. I am holding the anger and the passion. I am holding this energy of destruction and creation. And that's exactly why Ogun is associated with the heart. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So with all of the fears, and with all, I'm going to look at the comments in just 1 second, guys. With all the fears that have not happened yet, with all of the things that you've put the tension points and you're like, oh, I'm scared this may happen, or I'm scared that this will inevitably happen, or whatever the case is, maybe the shame that you feel, or whatever the case, I just want you to acknowledge the future fears that you may have. The future fears, the future tension points. Just acknowledge the future aspects that we have here. And if you feel called, you can put it in the chat. We're going to start with fear specifically, and we're going to move through these dense emotions, and now we're going to be talking about collaborating with each one of these. But we're going to start with fear. And you can just put in the chat, the truth is I'm scared that. You can write it down on paper or you can put it in the chat. Both. The future aspects of our fear. So what we talked about was basically the things that have happened in the past, the fears that we have that are associated with things that have happened in the past are parts of our origin story. Now, when we talk about the future, I'm scared I'm going to lose everything. I'm scared this is going to happen. I'm scared. We're going to talk about now from this space of the truth is I'm scared that. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. In the chat. The truth is I'm scared that people will reject me. The truth is I'm scared that okay, awesome. You guys are doing an amazing job. This chat is on and popping, on fire. Y'all going faster than I can even read, y'all. And so now we want to recognize, and we're writing them down, and just tune me out if you're still writing, it's okay. But right now we want to recognize that especially with the fear, there's a split in the psyche right now, right? And the split is I really want to move forward with this desire. Remember, we are seeing desire as the portal into devotion. And so when we talked about all the dark desires, the light desires, this is how we're cultivating this energy of devotion to our higher self, to ourself, to our self-worship, a practice of self-worship, right? And so we want to acknowledge that the fears that are coming up, we're feeling that tension, our body kind of, when we feel that fear, because there's a big part of us that wants to move forward, but we have this fear, right? We want to go forward and create. We want to tell our story, but we're scared no one's going to listen. And what we can see that as is splits within our own psyche. And so the reason why it's so hard for us to release limiting beliefs and to release old patterns and to release all these things is because we're not just working with one mind, we're working with multiple different layers of our own psyche, the aspect of desire and the aspect of fear, the aspect that says, oh no, I want this, but I can't have it, but I can't do it. I want to tell my story, but I can't. We're working with these conflicts, these pieces of friction within our own minds and within our own psyches, right? And in Ogun energy, we're going to move through a lot of parts work, which is going to help to harmonize this. But I'm going to teach you an exercise right now that's going to help you move forward. And we'll talk about Ogun energy later. But one of the ways that we can begin to harmonize this tension within ourselves is by understanding that we're almost pulling the rubber band. We have the desire over here and the fear is pulling us back. And the way to begin to harmonize it is to provide an offering to the fear. Provide an offering to the shame. Provide an offering to the anger. Provide an offering to the jealousy. And provide an offering to the depression. Now, this is exactly how we're going to begin to move through or move with these dense energies as collaborators. Instead of trying to convince ourselves that we are fearless right now and we have these splits in our psyches that's telling us that that's not the truth. Well, I don't feel that. We're instead going to walk towards them and start to move into this energy of devotion by offering something to this energy or the split that we're experiencing within our own minds. I'm about to explain. Okay? So we start with the truth is I'm scared that. And then the next sentence here, and I'm going to work with you guys in the comments, but the next sentence here is my offering to my fear of whatever you're scared of. I'm going to put this in the comments actually. My offering to my fear of being rejected, of being abandoned is. And so now basically what we're doing is we are meeting our fear in the middle by doing something intentionally that is going to intentionally move us towards the fear. Now, it doesn't have to be the very thing of telling your story. If you're not ready for that, that's okay. But what is an offering to your fear of you moving towards it that's going to help you close the gap between those two splits in your psyche? So maybe I'm going to give you one example before I look at the comments. Maybe you really want to fully tell your story. You want to write a book. Today, my offering to my fear of being rejected if I tell my story through me writing this book is going to be me writing down my story on a Google Doc. Okay? It's going to be me writing down an aspect of my story and putting it on Threads or putting it on an anonymous account. Okay? So you can say, I'm going to just go for it if you feel called to say that, but you can also just say an offering that you're going to literally move towards the fear with, that's going to be a step towards it instead of constantly trying to convince yourself that you don't have this fear and then you're constantly procrastinating and never doing it. What is one thing you can do to move towards the fear? Okay, now I'm going to look at the comments. When we think about where to start, we just want to think about what feels the most exciting for us to do right now. And what is the offering to the fear? Okay. My truth is I'm scared of my own power and fully accepting myself because I don't want to be seen as too much or detached. Making a podcast and starting to tell my stories. What is one step towards it? And this is going to be the offering to my fear. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can finish this sentence. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, Genesis. Exactly, guys. This is beautiful. And again, it can be wherever you're at right now. But the more offerings that you put to your fear, the smaller and smaller that fear becomes. The less and less intimidating that it becomes for you to do the bigger thing or whatever thing that you have in your mind. The smaller that becomes. So we're not looking at it as, I'm just going to trailblaze and be fearless. We're looking at it from a space of, what is the offering I can give to this right now? And when we talk about self-worship, we're talking about becoming your own deity, your own altar, and your own offering. And so that means the offering is the fear, and I'm doing something in place of that fear. I'm doing something towards that fear, rather. These are the offerings that I'm giving to these things. And when you have this more expansive view of yourself, then you see that there's just so many energies and layers that are constantly interacting. You are literally an entire universe in itself. You stop beating so much in your head and you start to literally interact with your own inner deity through these offerings. Offering to my fear of being powerful, yes. Honor when my power shows up and not shrink myself. And what's a specific way that you're going to do that, Monet? What does that look like for you? Creating a space where I can share my wisdom. And what's the first step? Yes, write my origin story on paper and burn it to ashes. Exactly. Beautiful. And what's your offering, Rebecca? Let us know. I'm going to give you guys about another minute with that. This time is flying by. Beautiful, Marty. Beautiful, Bea. Beautiful, Monet. Awesome. You better let us know in the chat, Rosemarika. In the 7 C's chat. People who took 7 C's, don't forget that you can still be in that chat. A lot of you are like, I'm so sad that it ended. The chat is everlasting, okay? Beautiful, beautiful work, guys. I'm going to give you guys one more minute with that, and then we'll move on to shame. Global Harmony. First of all, I love that. I love that name. Global Harmony. What's the worst case scenario that your mind is telling you? Where'd you go? How do I offer something to my fear of not feeling valuable? What's the worst case scenario? If you're not valuable, if your mind was right, what's the worst case scenario after that? And so we want to move towards the worst case scenario. We want to move towards the worst case scenario. What offering can I give to my germophobia? I used to live in New York City, so I can give you a lot of offerings, okay? Any small thing that you can do to work towards this thing. Any small thing that you could do. Even if you don't live in New York City, you can go to a petting zoo, okay? You could go anywhere that's a small step towards the fear. Beautiful, Kobe. Someone asked, what chat am I referring to? I'm just talking about 7 C's, which is a container that we did a few months ago. And some people from 7 C's are in here right now, and they're in that chat. You can find more about 7 C's on my website. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So I want to do a really quick run through of the chakras because that's an essential way of looking at all of this, and we're going to move on to shame really quick. So fear begins in the Muladhara. Fear begins in the Muladhara, right? The root. The root is the initiation into this physical realm, as well as the initiation that we have into our bodies, okay? It connects us with the 3D realm. The beautiful thing about the Muladhara, with every higher teaching of spirituality, there's going to be a paradox, okay? And so what that means is there's an and in regards to what these different energies represent within all of us. There's an and with each one of these, okay? And so what that means is that in the crown chakra, we reunite with all, but the Muladhara, which is the first, teaches us the opposite. It teaches us the importance of knowing where our energy starts and other people's energies begin. It teaches us the importance of our physical body and connecting with our physical body. And when we have a lot of deeper rooted issues when it comes to fear, it usually, if it's really deep rooted, it's probably associated at a time to a situation that's happened before you were 7 years old. Okay, and so the first way you could begin to work towards releasing a lot of the energy in the Muladhara is just by asking yourself, when is the first time that I felt these fears? When is the first time that I felt these fears? That awareness in and of itself will open up something in your consciousness that can never be closed. And so we want to do an offering to the fear because that's how we're able to move forward. But we also, moving forward from this class as well, you want to acknowledge exactly what has created this pattern. And when you're able to go to the root of that pattern, it's a lot easier to release it. Okay, so that's just a little tidbit about the Muladhara. Now, right after we're initiated into our bodies and we start to understand who we are, and this is a body that we're in, then we move into the Svadhisthana, right? We move into the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is really where we have this union of the human self and the divine self, and the baby is creativity. And this is where we really experience this beautiful energy of colliding with worlds, right? So now we're in the world. Now, who am I in this world, and what is my offering to this world? And that's when shame starts to come in, because shame says, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to express this. Whatever I have to express isn't good enough. I can't do this because of something that's wrong with me. And that's when shame comes in, right? And so now let's move into shame. Now we want to talk about how to collaborate with shame, right? And so we're going to start off with the thing that you are the most ashamed of. And I'm going to challenge you here. This is a safe space. Yes, there's a lot of people in here, but this is a safe space. You can feel free to say whatever exactly that it is if you feel comfortable. And I'm going to encourage you to say exactly what it is. Maybe it's something that is hard for you to admit to yourself, but I want you to just give yourself permission to admit it right now. What is the thing that you are the most ashamed of? What is the thing that you are the most ashamed of? And just putting the truth, oh, I love that, being mean. I love that. So I'm going to put it here, my imperfection. What exactly? Sexual desires, physical look. Freaky as fuck, Loki. I love that. I love that so much. Big tooth gap, my hatred, my creative process. So the truth is, I'm ashamed of, or I'm ashamed, however you want to end that. The truth is, and then we want to name what we're the most ashamed of, and then we want to move into a space of identifying the offering here. So the truth is, and I put it in the chat here, the truth is I'm ashamed that, or I'm ashamed of How can you tell this story? How can you allow this to be seen even more? How can you be honest about this even more? How can you begin to lead with this even more? Okay. So now we're going to move into the space of what is the offering to your shame? What is the offering to your shame? How can you tell this story? How can you be honest about this thing? Making shitty art every day, or also, Misha, being honest with your community about, hey, look at all these, look at the gallery of unfinished things that I've started. This is my creation process. Time to get dirty. I love that. This is my creation process. So we want to look at the offering of the shame, or offering to the shame, as we can do this a couple different ways. We can see this as, how can I be more honest about this? How can I showcase a different level of honesty about this thing that I'm really ashamed of? Or how can I even create an offering for this shame? Right? So what I mean by that is, say you're really ashamed of the fact that you want more money. You want to become a millionaire, a billionaire. An offering to your shame is reading more books about money, of feeding that a little bit and being more honest with yourself and say, hey, this is the truth. And my offering is, I'm now going to look into this book, or I'm not going to do this. That's going to help me be more honest about the shame. I'm not going to deny it so much within myself anymore. So there's a couple different things that we can do. We can create something that helps us be more honest about it, or we can have an actual offering to it where we're doing something in honor of it. Oh, yes, Natalie. Beautiful. Whatever we deny within ourselves controls our entire lives. Whatever desires, especially, that we deny within ourselves, literally controls our entire lives. Whether you like it or not. I find this to be the most prevalent, in my opinion, well, from what I've seen. I've been in this industry for a long time. And any post about money in the spiritual industry is going to be a really big post. People are going to like it. People are going to comment. There's some money affirmations, this and that and the third. People are really attracted to that. What's one of the reasons why this is? It's because a lot of spiritual people don't want to admit that they want more money, that they want more support. We think that money is bad. We shouldn't want money, right? And so we deny this within ourselves, and we say, no, what I have is enough, and I shouldn't want more. I shouldn't want more. I shouldn't want more. And then when we see that post, oh my God, here's a post about money. Well, let me do the affirmation. Let me do this, because this is what I want. I don't want to look at this in my conscious, but it's controlling me in what I'm looking at and what I'm feeding into in the algorithm, because I don't want to admit it within myself. The way to unload shame is about being honest about what you're ashamed of. You can either move towards it by doing something in honor of it, or you can feed it with an offering. Maybe now is the time for you to master this energy of finances that before maybe you were really willy-nilly with, right? Maybe it's time for you to really work on, hey, I had this idea, I had this project, I want it to be successful, and now I'm going to sit down and learn more about money, because it's just an energy that I can study like any other energy. So that's just an example. My offering to my shame is to continue to love and heal authentically. And how can we be even more and more honest about this shame? Beautiful, guys. Yes, Kenza. How can we tell this truth even more? I'm going to give you guys one more minute with this. So If you're ashamed of your story, your offering is telling your story. If you're ashamed of your anger, your offering is finding a passion to really express this anger through. Oh, I love that. And then Monet leading with, this is something that I'm working with, but this is what I have to say right now. Right? Body, if you're ashamed of your body, would be an offering to acknowledge or be more intentional or intimate with your own body and nurture it. An offering to shame in regards to body is to, you can nurture it more. You can, the thing here with shame is offloading the truth of it. So being with your body in the mirror more, being more intimate with yourself, taking more pictures of yourself, letting yourself be seen in that way. And all of these things are building and building on each other for mastering the art of being seen. But when we're moving through each one of these dense emotions, we're able to cultivate the different offerings for these dense emotions so that we can fully see ourselves. And the next step is allowing other people see how we see ourselves. Beautiful. Yes, exactly, Ashley and Shiva. Beautiful, guys. So we have this energy in the Svadhisthana. I'm gonna look at the questions in just a second here. Or look at the comments in just a second here. So we have this energy in the Svadhisthana that tells us that we're not enough, that tells us what we should hold this shame about. And of course, shame is what constricts creative expression. And I'm going to go on a little bit of not a tangent. I'm going to go on a little bit on an aside here. And I just want us to understand, with everything that's happening in the world, with the rise of AI, with the rise of all these different things, great, sure, that's fine. But what we want to know, or what we really want to focus on rather, is that there's this energy of almost like transhumanism, or this energy of perfection, and we can see this energy really rising of people wanting each other to be perfect, people looking at ourselves. We're looking at ourselves and we want to change things about ourselves. We want to really perfect our image, and then perfect how we're moving in the world, and perfect this and perfect that. In actuality, the thing that connects us to not just ourselves, but also to other people, is within our imperfections, is within the things that we feel the most ashamed of. And there's so many people right now who are in this room and who are going to listen to this replay, who have something to share, who know that they have something that they really want to birth, that they really want to move forward with. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes we think that we have to wait until we're perfect in order for us to share it. But in reality, in sharing the imperfections, that's exactly how you will reach the people who are meant to receive your offering, in sharing the messiness of your creative process, in sharing the things that you may have picked up and put down, in sharing your origin story, in sharing how you used to be, or maybe who you still are. I know for me, I talk about my anger issues all the time, right? And sharing all those things, that's exactly how you're able to connect with these people. That's exactly how you're able to connect with yourself and with everybody who's supposed to receive you and actually be able to see you. So when we talk about this energy of being seen, we also want to emphasize that there's going to be a filter. There's going to be people who are like, oh my God, how can they say that? How can they do that? I don't want to hear that. I wrote a fucking newsletter yesterday about having explosive diarrhea on my birthday. You guarantee I had 100 people unsubscribe from my newsletter. And those are exactly who are not supposed to be in this class, right? And so we want to really emphasize the things that we're really afraid of telling people, really afraid of people knowing about us, because we have to move towards that truth. We have to move towards the expression of that truth, acknowledgement, and then expression of that truth. as a way to become an even stronger magnet for the people who are meant to receive our work. Okay, so shame is one of the most beautiful conscious collaborators, because perfection does not create community. Perfection can create a beautiful brand, but perfection does not create community, because in community there are actual humans. And so that means humans are not perfect. For us to be alive, we have to acknowledge all the different imperfections within us. And so if you're perfect, you're never going to create a community. You're never going to find your people. You're never going to connect in, right? So we want to lead with the shame, and we want to look at this from a space of, what is the offering I can give to my shame? How can I be even more honest about this? How can I move forward even more with this truth, okay? Now we're going to move forward with anger. Oh my gosh, you guys, my cat is bringing the toy in here right now, and she's like, if you don't throw this right now. Okay. So we have the Svadhisthana, and then we have the heart chakra. And we've talked to, we have the Svadhisthana, and then we have the solar plexus, and then we have the Anahata. And within the solar plexus, right above the Svadhisthana, within the Manipura, what this really is this space of light, this space of sun, this space of alchemy. This is where we find our will to really create the things that we really receive within that space of creativity in the Svadhisthana. In the solar plexus, we receive that energy of will to move forward with creation. Now, right above that solar plexus, we have the Anahata, which we've talked about before, the heart chakra. Now, within the Anahata and the solar plexus, one of the blocks that can be observed is this energy of anger. And what anger really is, it's an indication that a boundary has been crossed. The things that trigger anger is anything that has restricted you, anything that has denied you your own sovereignty. And even if you see anger about things that are happening on the outside, it's when you observe someone else being taken, their power taken away, or their sovereignty being taken away as well, when we're talking about justice a little bit before, right? So now we want to just begin to look at anger. And we're just going to say the truth is blank makes me angry, right? So whatever triggers for your anger, whatever things that come up for you, what really makes you angry? This can be within your life, this can be within business, this can be within your platform, whatever the case is, what makes you angry? And I'm going to copy and paste that here. The truth is imperialistic greed pisses me the fuck off. People being fucking ignorant. Severe lack of consideration for anything. And so now we want to start off with the truth is blank makes me angry. And then we're going to move into that statement of the offering to my anger is. And so one of the antidotes to anger is, number one, setting a boundary, but also number two, telling your truth. Okay? So the more that you allow that truth within you to be expressed, the truth is, I feel like people shouldn't be like this, or people shouldn't be inconsistent, or people whatever. Whatever the case is, whatever makes you angry, the offering to the anger is either setting a boundary or stating your truth. It could be the truth of what you feel for yourself or the truth of the situation. And it's exactly what we were talking about before about justice and about anger and about passion. If you feel that energy of just wanting to change the things that are happening in the world, one of the best ways, or one of the first ways we can begin to change things, is by telling the truth, is by spreading the truth and by telling the truth. So I'm going to put this in the chat as well. So what is the offering? We're just going to pick one thing if you can. What is the offering to your anger? Beautiful works. You guys have identified what makes you angry, but what is the offering to your anger? Exactly, Charmaine. Beautiful. The offering here, Kobe, would be how can I express my truth of how I feel? It doesn't necessarily have to be to these people, but it's going to be an offering of truth. The antidote of anger is truth. When we feel anger, many times it's an indication that a boundary has been crossed. Acknowledging the boundary that has been crossed, acknowledging the energy or the feelings that we feel is the antidote to anger. Not in a way that we suppress it, but in a way that we allow it to be expressed. This is all going to come together to create the archetype at the very end. Thank you guys so much for staying here. We're going to wrap this all up in about 20 minutes. Beautiful Mystique. Beautiful Keely. Or in your music, Kobe. Or telling your truth, Gabby, of how your mother makes you feel. Exactly, Allegra. My offering is being real with myself about how I feel and releasing the need to control the outcome, accepting that this is part of my journey, that I don't need to force a right move. With anger, we want to focus on expression. Expressing the truth, expressing the boundary. Beautiful, Bea. Beautiful, Natalie. I'm going to give you guys about 1 more minute with this, and then we'll move on to jealousy, which is my favorite. Beautiful, Kiara. Beautiful. So again, the best way to offload this energy, this heaviness of anger, is by expressing your truth. The best way to offload this heaviness of anger is by shifting into a space of authenticity. And I think we just hear that as such a buzzword, but in reality, authenticity is just truth. It's just being honest about how you feel within and allowing that to be expressed on the outside as well. It's not some elaborate thing. It's just integrity, and integrity is just truth in and truth out. And so the more that we can really name what is making us angry, even if it doesn't make sense, even if we feel like there's not a solution for it right now, every time we name it, we give an offering to it. Every time we name it, we offload it. Every time we name it, we don't carry it on our backs anymore. Y'all, but what Kenza said, I don't know why she's doing that. This is a new progression. My cat is 7 years old and she recently found her voice. Don't know why. Thank you for making that joke, Kenzo. What offering would I give for someone for being angry at someone I live with who's a slob? Have you told them how you feel? Have you been honest? Have you really said the truth about how uncomfortable it makes you? The more that we hold in our truth, the anger and anger that we get. And just because you're expressing it doesn't mean you have to be combative or whatever the case is, or all the things that you're afraid of actually happening. When we lead with vulnerability, when we lead with this is how it makes me feel and how can we meet in the middle, you can diffuse any situation. But you first have to be honest about how you feel and how the situation is making you feel. All right. So now we're going to move on to jealousy and depression, and then we're going to wrap it all up with becoming your own archetype and really putting this all together to create the archetype. All right. So we move through anger, which again, we really feel within that solar plexus anahata, this energy of the will, this energy of boundaries, this energy of not being respected, this energy of someone overstepping our boundaries or threatening our safety, right? We feel this within the manipura and the anahata. And then this energy of jealousy really lives within the Vishuddha and the Ajna, depending on how you look at it. But jealousy specifically, envy specifically, is one of the most precious emotions when it comes to desire, when it comes to creating something beautiful. Because what jealousy really allows us to do is it allows us to see exactly what spaces within our own expression that we've been neglecting. And so when we see other people, we see how other people create things or do things or express themselves, and we feel really jealous about it. And if you're having a hard time with jealousy, whatever you are judging, you are jealous of. But when we really have a hard time, or when we really see someone and doing something that we want to do and we feel jealous about it, that's the indication that we haven't been watering that same theme within ourselves. And so maybe you feel jealous of someone's ability to really just say it like how it is, and it doesn't matter how no one else takes it. It's an indication that you really want to say shit how it is, and really stop caring about how other people are taking it, right? If you're really jealous or judging someone who's constantly telling their business, maybe you really want to just express yourself even more and just be a lot more unfiltered and a lot less caring about how other people are perceiving you. And so jealousy is a beautiful, beautiful emotion. We're going to start off with the statement of the truth is I'm jealous of blank. It can be a specific person. It can be a specific trait. But what is your truth? The truth is I'm jealous of. Starting off here. The truth is I'm jealous of. And what exactly do you feel creates that magnetism? What exactly do they have within? So that's the outcome of something that they're holding within. And so we want to really make sure that we're seeing beyond the outcome. The travel is the outcome, but what do you really desire? You desire the freedom. Pulling all the guys is the outcome, but what do you really desire? Maybe you desire the confidence or the sensuality. this here. It can even be a specific person. So we want to look at number one, the truth is I'm jealous of, and then number two, my offering to my jealousy is. And so how can you become the very thing that you are jealous of? What is the baseline, the foundation of what you really are jealous of? Is it the freedom? Is it the sensuality? Is it the expression? And what is the offering to that? So leaning more into mediocrity. My offering to my jealousy is worshiping my sensuality and sexual desires that I have deep down. Yes. The issue is always when we stop at shaming ourselves for the energies of envy or jealousy. If we stop it, right? If we just stop it at that shame, we never go farther to realize that that jealousy and that envy is a pull towards something within ourselves. It's a pull towards expressing something even deeper within ourselves. It's a pull towards becoming, even expressing ourselves in this new becoming of ourselves. So being honest, even like after this call too, are there people who you may be jealous of? Maybe you're jealous of how they have their page or Instagram page or how they're living their life or whatever the case is. What's the first step to becoming that? It's not about the person, it's about the energy. What's the first step? Yeah, exactly. The offering is taking better care of my own hair. Exactly. Beautiful. My offering to jealousy is booking that Airbnb in Mexico for my birthday. Exactly. My offering to my jealousy is to publicly identify myself as a leader and teacher. Beautiful work, guys. Beautiful, Rebecca. And also the offering here is understanding that you are still a baby as well. Okay? We all have access to these energies of the divine, of the Mother God and the Father God. And in the eyes of the Mother and Father God, we are all still children. And so leaning more even into that relationship with the divine and really shifting into that space of looking at things like a child, of asking to be led, of asking to be guided. We don't have to always do it all ourselves. And so many times when we crave a deeper relationship with our parents, we're really craving to cultivate a deeper relationship with this different aspect of God. If we didn't have a strong mother, we're craving a deeper relationship with this energy of the divine feminine, of Mother God. If we didn't have a father that really uplifted us, we're craving this relationship, a deeper relationship with the divine Father God. Offering what I give for being, oh, no, you guys are talking under that. And so possibly another, just a little exercise after this space is to go and look for someone. Look for someone who maybe online or whatever the case is that you know you're jealous of, and just note, what is it that I'm jealous? Why is it that I'm jealous of this person? And what is this showing me that I need to move towards? What is this showing me that I need to water within myself? And the last aspect of this is going to be the depression aspect. And so the dense emotions that we move through are fear and the Muladhara. We have shame in the Svadhisthana. We have anger that many times is felt in the Manipura and the Anahata. We have the jealousy, this energy of comparison. And why it's located within the Vishuddha and the Ajna is because of two reasons. Well, number one, Vishuddha means purification, right? And so the Vishuddha is a space of honoring our own truth and being connected with the truth of our own being. And so when we are jealous of something, we're perceiving this energy of separation as I don't have and they do have. And we all know the truth of the matter is that we can have absolutely anything because we all are everything, right? And so that's why this energy lives within the space of purification, jealousy as a little bit of a distortion between the truth of the matter, which is that you can become whatever you yearn for, whatever that you're jealous of within someone else. And the ajna as well as the space that we begin to release a lot of these boundaries of duality, of light and dark. And so again, it's emphasizing this energy of separation between us and what we desire, forgetting the last aspect. Desire is beautiful, but the last aspect is becoming more and more of what you desire, moving towards it and melting with it. And within the ajna, we can have that distortion of jealousy, envy, right? The evil eye, third eye, all these kind of things. We can have that distortion, but when we realize that everything is all, right? Everything is connected. Then we can move towards it by understanding that the reason why it's in our environment is because it's meant to collaborate with us, right? And so that's how we begin to dissolve those energies of jealousy. But we have an offering to our jealousy every time that we decide to collaborate with it and see it as a portal into a deeper level of ourselves. And in the crown of the Sahasrara, we have this energy of depression. When we have a closed crown, what ends up happening is we don't feel connected to this energy of the universe that can always support us. We don't feel connected with this energy of life, this energy of connection, this energy of awakening, right? We feel very closed off. We feel very dark. And so the way that we can begin to collaborate with the energy of depression is shifting this energy into a space of devotion. Okay, now how we're going to do that is by number one, acknowledging the first sentence, which is the truth is, and I'm going to put this in the chat as well, but the truth is I feel alone and helpless in the face of. So whatever may trigger the depression, whatever may trigger any episodes of sadness, we want to just acknowledge, number one, the truth is I feel alone and helpless in the face of. I'm going to copy and paste this in the chat. And the next aspect, and I'll put this right under it. Put this as a comment. And the offering to whatever energy that you feel the most alone and helpless in the face of is a devotion to I don't want to say the solving, but the devotion to the other end of this energy. So for example, I feel alone and helpless in the face of motherhood. My offering to my depression in regards to this theme is becoming devoted to motherhood in whatever way that looks like today, whatever way this looks like for me. Becoming even more devoted, even more connected to this. Leaving also room for surrender to allow us to be shown by the higher power of exactly how we are meant to move through this energy. So it's showing us exactly, and this energy of devotion is the same energy as intimacy. And why this is important is because when we become devoted to something, we're not saying I'm looking to solve it. We're saying I'm looking to become more intimate with it. Right? Because when we really get really sad about something, we're only seeing one energy or one side of this. We're only seeing one side of the motherhood or whatever you guys are really feeling this way about. But when we're able to devote ourselves to the intimacy of the subject, we're able to study this even more. We're able to say, okay, Spirit, show me the different ways that this can look. I'm now committing to a devotion to this. We end up expanding our view of whatever has a fixed perspective in our minds at the current moment. I feel alone and helpless in the face of feeling alone and helpless. So I'm gonna devote myself to what is this energy of solitude? how can I really devote myself to this energy of solitude? What can this really look like? How can I really be in this energy? What can it look like to be alone? What are the things that I can do while I'm in this space of solitude? How can I pour into myself in this space of solitude? Exactly. Devote myself towards security, this energy of security. What does it mean to find security within myself? What does it mean to find security in the world? And it doesn't mean that we find the solution. It means that we begin to study the energy for what it is. Letting the world in. So then a devotion to vulnerability for Allegra. So for me, it would be devoting to the space and gap where someone has left me behind. Yes. How can I devote myself to this space of power within myself, of not having all these people to support me? What does it look like? And again, it's not solving it. It's becoming more intimate with this energy that we feel helpless towards. Adversity, self-devotion, exactly. Understandable. Self-betrayal. So how can we get even more intimate with this energy of betrayal? This energy of self-betrayal. Understanding ourselves. Maybe understanding other stories of other archetypes that have moved through this energy. Oshun has stories of self-betrayal as well. Asking to be shown what can't be shown and told what can't be heard. This is where we begin to collaborate with the divine on show me more about this energy that I'm dealing with. And that's devotion. Intimacy is the ability to study something and know that it's never done, that the book is never over. And so when we hit that wall of depression, many times it's showing us exactly how we've maintained a fixed perspective on something in our lives. Yeah, beautiful, Dante. And so in all these different ways, all these dense energies, all these dense emotions become collaborators to show us deeper and deeper and more profound levels of our own self-exploration. And in that exploration is this deeper, this beautiful level of intimacy that we cultivate with ourselves. And this is self-worship. This is self-worship. Self-worship is not just looking at all the beautiful things that you want people to see about you. Self-worship is creating an intimate relationship with all of the layers of yourself. Of getting curious, of following desires, of looking deeper at shame, looking deeper at this anger, the depression, all these, and studying it. And this is where modern day, whatever, psychology, therapy, we end at, this is the problem. Now how do we fix it? Rarely do we get even more intimate with the problem to a point where we can understand how to really collaborate with it. Many of us are tired and are burned out on X and Y and Z because we're not even meant to operate in the systems that we're living in right now. Instead of just trying to numb ourselves to continue to show up, what we do instead is we acknowledge that burnt outness. We acknowledge the anger. We acknowledge what we feel as an indication that we're meant to be revolutionary in this system, as an indication that we're meant to create something new. We don't start and end with the problem. We get intimate enough with the problem to understand that not only are we experiencing the problem, but we're also part of the solution. That is how we become revolutionary. It's through self-worship. All these things that are coming up within us are not things to shy away from. Many times are not things to medicate. They're things to get intimate with. They're things to dive even deeper into, to understand on an even more intimate level. There are so many different layers and faces that you're meant to explore within yourself. And if you see every single one of these emotions as offerings, as portals, then you're able to really come alive, because you're no longer suppressing and denying things. You're no longer trying to numb yourself to stop yourself from feeling certain things. You're getting even more intimate. And so now I want you to just wrap everything up and go back. I kind of lost the 2-paper concept, child, with channeling this whole thing, but go back to whatever blank space that you have. And I want you to just write your name, write whatever name that you want to claim, right? Whatever feels good for you. And I just want you to just put a few things of your archetype. So this can be your archetype in regards to the offerings to your shame or your anger. Your archetype in regards to your origin story. Even the archetype could be about what makes you angry, right? There's stories of even Oshun of flooding different villages because of disrespect on women. So seeing this as part of your power, of the triggers of these things, and just seeing them as different aspects of your own archetype. And what I mean, okay, Ascension asks, first of all, I love that answer. What do I mean by archetype? We're just combining everything that you've acknowledged today, whatever things that you want to see within all the things, all the notes that you've acknowledged, and we're just claiming them all as part of our archetype. Archetype is a specific energy. It's a specific unique energy that you hold. So when we think about the Orishas and we think about the personality types of the Orishas, they represent different archetypes. The mother, the nurturer of Yemoja. The warrior and creator of Ogun. Right? So when we see, and you can, whatever religions or whatever traditions you want to pull from, you can look at it as these different archetypes. Jesus was an archetype, okay? Whatever case that you really, or whatever way you want to look at it, it's going to be a collection of personality traits, a collection of energies, and we're not going to deny anything within ourselves. We're going to say, this is part of my archetype. This is the origin story of my archetype. It's the origin story of my own personal deity. And you've already done all the work. Yes. Yes. How would you structure it? You could literally just put, I don't think I lost my marker, but you can literally just put archetype in the middle of a piece of paper and just start to write the little traits that you were able to express in this call. So any traits about anger, any traits of shame, the different offerings that you've created in this call, put the archetypes around here. And this is going to be your archetype. And I'll give you about 2 minutes to do that. And you can feel free to put it in the chat as you complete it. And being an archetype is not denying anything within yourself. I'm talking so much about Oshun, probably because I have my Oshun Aleke on. But part of Oshun's archetype is that she loves fearlessly. And many times there's many different stories about Oshun where that's gone wrong. But she loves fearlessly. Yeah, Kobe, it's just going to be writing. You could put your name, or you could just put the word archetype, and you could put your name above or under or whatever. And you're just going to pick whatever traits that you're able to identify today, whatever ones that you want to uplift. Maybe it's owning these different aspects of your anger. Maybe it's owning these different aspects of your shame, and just put them on a paper near the word archetype. I kind of like to do like circle it and put little arrows outside of it. I love that, Gabby. Thank you, Amelia, for being here. Beautiful work, guys. I'm going to give you guys about 2 more minutes to do that. Yes, you will be. And I just put the answer to your question, Kiara. And as you guys write this down, you can feel free to write it down in the chat. And we'll close out by reading some of these out loud and also talking a little bit about Ogun energy. So this is the thing. We don't want to judge what we're trying to work on or balance or build. We just want to just honor this. This is going to be something that we're going to conquer or whatever. It's going to change and move throughout time. But right now, this is just part of the archetype. This is who I am right now. And I'm not judging it. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just seeing it. Yes, it is included in the Oasis membership. Warrior, creative, destructive, disruptive, selfish, scared, fearful, critical. I love this. And so as you guys begin to create your own archetypes, I want you to also just begin to think, what is the ultimate offering that I can give to this archetype? And try to think of it of, a lot of people in here are already in Ogun energy. Try to think of it of a way of like a project or something that you can create from start to finish. The smaller things that you do throughout the day, the changes that you're making after doing all this work that we did today, we went deep today. The changes that you're making or things like that, those are the offerings that you're consistently offering yourself through self-worship. But there's possibly maybe something that you really want to create. There's possibly something that you want to really commit yourself to that's an offering to your own inner deity. That's an offering to your archetype. And maybe that's, a lot of us in here are musicians, artists. Maybe that's a book. Maybe that is through just committing to, I'm going to express myself for 30 days straight, and I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to let myself be heard. I'm going to let myself be seen. But the first way that we overcome our fear of being seen is by becoming intimate with ourselves. That is 99% of the work. The only thing that you're ever afraid of is people seeing something that you didn't know existed within yourself. When you're able to accept and see yourself in your totality, in your completeness, then it doesn't matter what people say because you've already seen it for yourself. It's kind of saying like your mom is like in the car and you're like, oh, you're gonna get a spanking, you're gonna get some type of punishment. You're so scared of the punishment because you don't know what it is. But if you know exactly what you're facing, if you know exactly what the worst thing that someone can call out about you could possibly be, then it doesn't matter if someone calls it out because you've already accepted it. You've already accepted it. Beautiful, Rosemarika. And feel free to put it in the chat. What is something that you can do, the ultimate offering to your inner deity, to your archetype? Show up, and how are you going to show up, Mystique? Posting on Instagram, beautiful. Maybe give you guys about 1 more minute. Feel free to put your project, or feel free to put what you are going to now commit to as an offering to your archetype. Beautiful. Beautiful, Pete. Beautiful, Rosemarika. Record myself speaking. I'm going to open up for questions in just a bit. Been posting poetry every day for 365 on Twitter. I'm on day 87. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful work, guys. Yes, beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna open up for questions in just 1 second, but I just want to wrap all this up. And number one, say thank you, thank you, thank you to absolutely everybody here and everybody in the recording as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I did not expect to be here for 2 hours and 30 minutes, but thank you for you guys who stuck around and all of that. And so what we've done today is we've gone through the major dense emotions. We're able to see them and have a different relationship with them and see them as more so of offerings to our own inner deity. And we're able to actually create our own archetype. And for you guys who have a very clear picture on how you want to express yourself, of what project you want to really pull forward, create, moving forward from this point on. And you guys already know Ogun energy starts on the 25th. So this is going to be a 3-month creative immersion into not just creation and expression and really pulling through a project that you want to begin and end within the 3-month period, but it's also going to be learning about the cycle of creation according to Ifa. So according to Ifa, we have birth, death, transformation, and rebirth. We're going to be moving through all of those different cycles as not just things to view within ourselves, but things to view within the specific project that we are really focusing on building. So it's going to be for 3 months, 7 phases, 7 live classes, 14 community calls, you guys. This is going to be really beautiful, and you're going to have a community of people to really be with you to create this thing. It's going to be for people who really want to create this, want to create businesses, want to really foster their own creativity and flourish their creativity, and want a community around them to really witness them, and also my teachings and the things that I'm going to talk about to really take this to the next level, to make it revolutionary. Okay, so if you've gotten clear on your project, then you already know Ogun energy begins on the 25th. And so many of you guys have signed up already, and I'm so grateful for that. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So if you have to leave, thank you so much for being here. But I am going to open up for questions. Ogun energy is also going to be available when it's not live like other containers. Yes, but it's not going to be the same experience. So Ogun energy is 14 community calls as well as live classes. And so what that means is it's going to be a lot of community work that we do together. There's going to be a time about once a week where we come together and we all work on our projects together, and we're able to be in community with one another on top of the live classes as well. Let's see, where can I find out about so scholarships close on June 8th. There's a lot of other payment plans and a lot of other ways to join as well. Just go on the page for Ogun energy. But for you guys know, I do scholarships. I do a lot of scholarships for my work because I always want it to be accessible. But if you want to do scholarships, you got to get on it fast, okay? You have to get on it fast, because I'm going to talk about it in my newsletter. I'm going to talk about it on my story. But the people who really know that they want to be in these spaces, they know that I talk about the scholarships at the very beginning of when I talk about what's launching. You can find it on yourspiritualmermaid.com. Y'all are gonna vote on the day for the community calls. So that's probably gonna change. We're gonna see where the group is, but there's gonna be about 1 community call a week, maybe minus 1 week. I'll be in Mexico at the end of June, but other than that, you guys are gonna vote on what day works the best for everybody. Yeah. It is gonna be sent via email. Are there any other questions, guys? Any other questions about the work that we did or about Ogun energy? Is there a timeline for the in-person retreat? Oh my God, I love this question. So I'm meeting with the company that helps me put on the retreats in July. So it's most likely going to be next year. And since you guys are here, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. It is going to be at a woman's run rice farm in Bali. So it's almost completely women run. It is a space that has dedicated so much time and energy into bringing back a healthy irrigation system to the rice farmers in Bali. And we are in the midst of planning that right now. So that's going to be for 2020. What year are we in right now? That's going to be in 2026, but I'll let y'all know about that in the newsletter. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Of course, all genders can come. I am excited about that as well. How do you get answers from your body when you ask your body something, but it doesn't respond as earlier? It's harder for me to look for my deepest desire. I think a lot of times, especially when we've gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of physical trauma or emotional trauma, what can end up happening is that we get a lot of conflicting answers from our bodies. And I find the best portal to truth is patience. And so when you're asking yourself a question, just simply asking it and allowing the answer to come to you and not giving it a time limit, not giving it a specific time in which you should be so secure in something or whatever the case is, but just allowing the answer to come to you many times can help you be more intimate, not just with yourself and what's really right for you, but also with your body, because over time, your body will reveal over time what is really the right choice that's in alignment with you, but sometimes you may get conflicting emotions in the first response. So my response would be through patience. Advice for solar plexus in relation with entrepreneurship. Of course. Thank you all for being here. You guys can, if you don't have any questions, you guys can head out, and I will see you on the newsletter and hopefully in Ogun energy as well. So Betty asks advice for solar plexus and relations or relationships with in relation to entrepreneurship. Oh, sorry about that, guys. In regards to that, what I would say is that we have to be able to work with all the dense emotions that have come up, say in this call, the anger, the shame, the fear. And the solar plexus is a space of alchemy. And so what we want to do is, with entrepreneurship, one of the most important things is consistency. Showing up every day, making sure that you're telling people what's going on, making sure that you're allowing yourself to be seen. And so not putting a cap or not putting a limit on what that expression and what showing up every day really looks like. The main thing with entrepreneurship is consistency and malleability. And with the solar plexus, this is the space of alchemy. And so using any emotion that you're feeling on a day-to-day basis as the fuel of what you're going to choose to share today about your offer. Does that make sense? I see you nodding your head. Okay, cool. So we want to just really pull from any emotion, any mood that we're having, and not saying, oh, I can't show up on Instagram today because I'm mad, or I can't promote, my offer today because I'm mad. We want to more so look at it from a space of, I'm angry right now, I'm mad right now. How can I express this to my audience? How is this related to my passion, to my purpose, whatever that I am claiming in this entrepreneurship space? How can I really express myself today and maintain consistency with my audience? How can I alchemize this into something useful in regards to my message? So that's going to be the way that you can move through that in a different lens. Do you have any recommendations or resources to learn more about Ifa? So my main recommendations is, the first thing, the Orisha live within nature. Spend time in different areas of nature. Make it a commitment to yourself to go to the highest point in your city where you sit with Obatala. Make it a commitment with yourself to go to the rivers in your city where you sit with Oshun. Make it a commitment to yourself. Next time it rains, get your ass outside and sit in that rain. And that's how you're going to sit with Oya and Shango, right? So the first way that we can begin to connect in with this energy of Ifa, this energy of the Orishas as well, is by sitting in nature. Now, the other ways you could begin to connect with Ifa, I have a whole video on the bare bones, or not even the bare bones, but the metaphysical principles behind our divination system. It's on my YouTube, and you can read a lot about the different Odus and the different creation cycle of the earth. You can just simply look up different things on YouTube where you learn more about the stories, and just allow yourself to be a child. Allow yourself to sit at the foot of somebody who's telling these stories and really get to know what these energies are like. Anybody can do that regardless if you have your hand in Ifa or not. And I personally also believe that everyone could understand the creation cycle according to the opponent of Ifa. I got a lot of pushback on that, y'all, on TikTok. People were dragging me left and right. They were like, no one should be teaching this. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that Ifa is a science and not just a religion. So everyone can understand the science behind the Odu, right? So I recommend also looking at the science behind the Odu of the divination system, the literal computer science, astrophysics of this religion. You can look that up, just looking up the different Odus of Ifa, looking up different priests and their takes on different Odus, and understanding what the creation cycle of the earth really looks like and what that means from the perspective of the Odu of Ifa. Of course, Ogbe, Oyeku, Iwari, Idi, the different cycles of creation in Ifa. Okay. What would I say is the best way to get out of nervous system, or get the nervous system out of survival mode? Start doing one thing at a time. How many times a day do we do 10 things at one time? When's the last time that you took a shower without music on? When's the last time that you ate without the TV on? Do one thing at a time and start slowing down. Start noticing how your body feels. Start to be the observer of your body. Can you set a timer for 10 minutes when you first wake up to do nothing except look at the trees? We want to go slowly. we can't just jerk ourselves back to the other end. We have to go slowly and start to understand this body that we live in, right? The first thing that survival mode robs from us is the present moment. And so how can we dive deeper into the present moment? We do that through doing one thing at a damn time. I know that's hard for us who have ADHD. I know I do. But I've been doing more of that every day, every single day, of just allowing myself to look at the trees, allowing myself, and really bringing that sense of presence back into our day-to-day basis. So that's the most simple, and also the response that everyone hates because no one wants to do it, but that's the way that we begin to do it. Of course, Charmaine, I'm so happy to have you here. How can I start back after pausing my shadow work? Be the observer of your mind. Through observation is purification. And so we're all constantly experiencing this shadow aspect. We're all constantly experiencing this thing within us that's trying to tell us this or trying to tell us that. Shadow work isn't just diminishing this voice. Shadow work is learning how to work with it and collaborating with it. And so the first way that we begin, so you can press play to the pause of your shadow work, as you said, is by just allowing yourself to be the observer of your mind. Allowing yourself to observe when negative thoughts come up or when irritation comes up. Just allowing yourself to observe it and not judging it, not saying I can't do this, I can't do that, but just observing it for what it is. And in that observation, you begin to become, you get back into the seat of your own power, because you're no longer being pulled by this emotion. You're observing it and you're seeing it as something that is not controlling you. So that's the way that you start. When studying these shadows, do you think we tend to have the same reoccurring themes? Of course, yes. Then we go deeper over time, or do you think the shadows change in different seasons? I love this question. So I think both things happen at the same time. I think we all have the same 7 core traumas in regards to fear, in the Muladhara, shame, and the Svadhisthana, right? Like, if you guys are on my app, there's a free ebook called Black Moon, which took me so long to write, but it's one of my favorite things I've ever written. And it's about how to integrate the 7 deadly sins and understand each one of the chakras. And I talk about the 7 core traumas in that space. But we all have the same 7 core traumas, and there are different ways that our shadows change and grow and really, become different things throughout our lives, depending on different situations, but it's really the same shadows growing up with us. So I would say the definitive answer to this question is that we have the same shadows. They just grow the same way that we do as well. Can you speak on root and heart chakra work in Ogun Energy Workshop? Yes. So in Ogun Energy, we're going to be doing a lot of nervous system attunement, right? So we're going to be doing a lot of work around being seen, visibility, normalizing the feeling of being seen, normalizing the feeling of a lot of visibility, normalizing this feeling of a lot of people taking in your work. Because I think a lot of us, we want to be successful. But we're like, oh, I'm manifesting $1 million. And so that means that 1 million people buy my book. But could your nervous system even hold that if that were to happen? You start to see the numbers go and go and go and go. And then you're like, you start to have these feelings, and then people start to have negative comments and then positive comments. And then some people saying it's the worst fucking book they've ever written. Sometimes we stop at the dream and we forget the embodiment. And so in Ogun Energy, we're going to be doing a lot of nervous system attunement to regulate ourselves to be able to experience different levels of visibility so that we can really step into our revolutionary work. And trust me, it's not something that I'm just teaching from the head. This energy of like cringe, this energy of ridicule, this energy of shame, of even being canceled. I have gone through this over and over and over and over again, guys. So I'm speaking from a space of having lived through this shit so many times. And so in Ogun Energy, we're going to be doing the work that really attunes your nervous system to higher levels of visibility. And that's going to be the root chakra. And the heart chakra work is going to be authenticity and honoring your truth and becoming, really not just becoming, but also owning your archetype. Okay, so that's owning your specific energy signature that only you can embody. So like how we look at Rihanna, or I love Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt is my favorite. I think she embodies such a beautiful dynamic of dark and light. So looking at these different people, we can say, oh, when we see them and we see someone trying to emulate them, we automatically say, oh, they're trying to be like Eartha Kitt, or they're trying to be like Rihanna, or they're trying to be like Nicki Minaj, or whatever the case. It's because they're their own archetype. And we love these archetypes because they lead with their shadow equally as much as they lead with their light, rather. Their dark and their light equally. And so that's all heart chakra work. So we're becoming our own archetype, really shifting into a space of higher visibility, getting our work out there and actually becoming revolutionary in it. So that means we're going to be talking a lot about brand creation, business creation, maintaining platforms, really stepping into this space of working for yourself and owning what that means to be successful in working for yourself. And that's all Ogun energy. That's all what this 3-month immersion is going to be about. You can't put a price on clarity. Think about sharing wisdom. I feel better than. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Shango, excuse the spelling, is scary energy for me. I guess that makes sense because I'm afraid of that energy within myself. Mm-hmm. Any advice for facilitating spiritual space for other people from the heart space? How do you balance how much you give? When it comes to balancing, I think the major way that we balance things is by stopping trying to be everything for everybody in a space. Get specific on exactly what you want to cover. Get specific. And that's scary because we want as many people in these spaces as possible, right? But actually, the more specific that you are, the more people you'll actually bring in. And so the way that you know, basically, like, when we're over giving many times, it's because we're trying to satisfy all these boxes. But if you've said, this is the box, this is what we're talking about today, and that's the end of the story, then you've created that boundary within yourself. And so then it's easier for you to come into a space where you're sharing, right? And that's what the next retreat that I'm doing is going to be called Healers Healing Healers. And it's going to be all about this nurturing space for leaders. We're going to be talking about what that means, what that feels like to be in this space. And we're going to be in this space of community and supporting and really holding each other and doing a lot of fun things as well. And that's the specific thing that we're talking about there. So that's an example of create the boundary within yourself, and then it's easier for you to go into other spaces. My app is called the Oasis Creation Space. You can find that on my website, and there's so much free stuff on there. So free classes, free books. Someone asked about my red necklace. So in Ifa, there's a couple offerings that we give to different Orisha and to our actual Ifa pot. And one of the offerings is atare pepper. And atare pepper, in Nigeria, you can find atare pepper, or you can order it to the US. But atare pepper is something that we give for confidence. So I like to wear this necklace when I'm like, okay, I want to be really confident. I want to really step into my energy, my Oshun energy, this energy of just owning my voice. I like to have the atare pepper to remind me of that. Advice for learning the different chakras, what they do, all they deal with. I get confused on the names. I think you've already answered this question. Colby, there's a free book that I broke down absolutely everything that I've learned about the chakras. It's called Black Moon. It's in the app. So I honestly would say start there. I have done so many different courses, have learned from so many different teachers, have taken from Kemetic and Ifa references to create that book. So I think you'd really enjoy that. What would I say is divine feminine energy? Because my relationship with my mother and having to not go for years, I've operated a lot. Divine feminine energy is the energy of creation and receptivity. Divine masculine energy is the energy of structure and boundaries, right? So when we have a structure within our day, when we have boundaries with other people, right? When we have boundaries with ourselves, this is how we're creating a like actual physical container, and this is going to represent the masculine. Now the flow, the energy, the water, how this energy dances within the container, the vulnerability, the creation, the nurturing, the reciprocity. That's going to be the divine feminine energy. Okay? So I'm going to answer one more question and then we'll hop off of here. But the last question is, will you be sharing this recording with us? Yes, I will. And I'm going to end questions here, guys, because it's been almost 3 hours and I can be here all day. But I'm going to thank you guys so much again for being here. You guys already know that Ogun Energy starts the 25th, and learn more about that on my website. But until then, I love you guys. Have an amazing night. I'll see you on the newsletter and all the other places. Bye, everybody.